Thank you, everybody, for joining us back here at TrustBIX's channel. We're sitting here once again with President and Chief Executive Officer at TrustBIX, Mr. Hubert Lau. Hugh, how are you holding up today?
Fantastic. How could you not when you're in such a great industry?
Yeah, fair enough. And you got your industry's been getting a little bit of limelight action here. That's why I wanted to talk to you today. The Financial Times had actually put out an article and talking about investors have been pushing food companies to kind of go greener and to adopt ESG. And while previously it was customers more concerned about where their food was coming from and so on, now we're kind of seeing that evolve to the point where investors care. So I was curious about your perspective on this. Is this something that you have seen, and where do you think it's going to go from here?
That's a fantastic question. And really what we're seeing is that the world is wanting to be able to measure companies on their environmental, social, and governance metrics. And if you break that down and you think about it, one is, are we doing things that are good for the world? Are we doing it in a social way, inclusion and so forth? And do we have the governance to manage what we say? So that's just good business practice. And it doesn't matter which acronym you put on there. In the past, we called it corporate social responsibilities. Now we call it ESG. But ESG has really taken off in the sense that if you're looking at funds internationally, like HSBC and Deutsche Bank and so forth, they have created funds and they called it ESG funds and had attracted a bunch of investors, only to find out that the recommended companies did not do the diligence necessary to set the ESG targets or metrics and then measure them. So the idea of how do you measure these in a way, like ESG, in a way that makes sense and doesn't put too much burden into companies or into the supply chains, that has been a big question. But we can see that the impact investors do desire it.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, obviously, we're talking about very complex and integral systems that are running here, and when it comes to food supplies and food chains and everything. But with this pressure from investors, and it seems like this is pressure coming across multiple industries, and it's just now hitting this industry really hard. Do you see this pressure coming from other directions too right now in the food industry?
Oh, absolutely. You look at it as a public company, our accounting has to stay with the IFRS standard. So the IFRS, governing body has already published their preliminary thoughts in regards to ESG and ESG reporting in the future for all public companies. So it's not just our industry. I think our industry gets more limelight because people care about food, and with the Ukraine Russia war, food is in everyone's head because we all know that Ukraine is the food basket of the world. And if food is hit, what does that mean for the rest of us? And are people and companies going to produce food by cutting corners, or can we still maintain the standards that we all expect? And when you start asking those questions, then ESG comes to play. And so I think that's one of the multiple reasons why we're seeing more into the food industry. I welcome it, and this is what TrustBIX does, right? We want to tell the story of food production throughout the whole supply chain. And part of telling that story is the ESG story.
Yeah, well said. It is definitely interesting with the way things currently are in the world. A lot of people are looking at sustainability in the more traditional sense of green, but some people are still looking at it in the terms of sustainably growing food and so on. So we definitely have some lines to walk right now, but Hugh, I feel like the future is still bright. Thank you for coming on and sharing your insight on this article. Is there anything else you want to add before we go today?
Well, I just want to remind everyone that in terms of how TrustBIX does it is that we've got the BIX platform that aggregates, validates, and then report on different metrics, including ESG metrics. It does not mean that we have all the data sources, does not mean that we have to have all the expertise. What it really comes down to is the collaboration with different players throughout the whole supply chain, as well as the experts who will give us the metrics that we need to do. And what we are is that third-party validator to ensure that that information and that reporting is accurate and is truthful.
Fair enough. Well, Hugh, thank you again so much for coming on. If anybody has any questions, don't be shy. Please ask them below and stay tuned for more coming soon. Hugh, please have a wonderful day.
Thank you.